forward to this. I'm so sorry, but we'll have at least we'll have the chat from earlier.
Well, I'm going to make donation, committee need for volunteers speech again at the end because I want
Oh,
people to hear it that tune in and see this later. Okay, thank
hi,
you.
I'm Carol Kleiman. I'm sorry to barge in like this. I'm new and I'm going to have to leave early. Today I broke my arm
Oh no.
and I have yeah, no kidding. My right arm, wrong arm. Anyway, so I just wanted to say hello and I know Toby very well. We're on Women Painters West together and I've known her for a long time. I was with TAG for a long time, and I am just getting into collage and really looking forward to it.
Well, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Carol. It's good to see you and welcome. I'm so happy you're
thank
with
you.
us.
Thank you.
Good. We'll see you next time.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, shall I go ahead and introduce our speaker? Michelle Laxalt is a multidisciplinary artist working in ceramics, textiles, and on paper. She holds an MFA from Georgia State University, where she was a Distinguished Welsh Fellow, and a BFA from the University of Nevada, Reno, which is her hometown. She has exhibited nationally and internationally and has been an artist in residence at the Hambridge Center, Vermont Studio Center, and Callanwald Fine Art Center. She's a visiting assistant professor in visual arts at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, where she resides. Reno was her hometown. She's residing in Atlanta. Michelle's visceral artwork explores the corporeal similarities and vulnerabilities we share with other living beings. Her artwork is an attempt to make sense out of the fascinating and dreadful realization that everything is connected and nothing lasts. She delicately cuts and assembles fragments of lush, visceral imagery to create biomorphic paper collages reminiscent of botanical and anatomical illustrations. Every piece she cultivates is purposely ambiguous, and I might add, delightful. We're in for a treat. So, Michelle, please share your screen.
All right. Thank you, Barbara, for such a warm welcome. Thank you all so much for having me. Let me share my screen. Um, and I see my dad here. Okay, so can you all see that? Let me,
No.
yeah, okay, I know. Here we go. How about that?
Yes, there we are.
And I'm gonna just minimize myself. Oops, I don't want to see that. Sorry. I don't want to see the chat. There we go. All right. All right, thank you again, and thank you, Dad, for being here all the way from overseas. I did see a Morehouse student in the chat as well, so I just wanted to say thank you, Jace, for also making time to observe this talk. And now I actually do want to see the chat, so let me do that. There we go. You all can't, can you see my Zoom windows here where I'm seeing all of you?
No, no,
No.
you're spotlit.
Okay, great. Yeah, so as Barbara said, I'm originally from Reno, Nevada. That is where I received my BFA in ceramics in 2014. And shortly after receiving that degree, I relocated to Atlanta, Georgia with my partner and my cat, and we have been here ever since. And currently, I am a visiting assistant professor at Morehouse College, teaching art history and curatorial studies. I put my website here for you as well as my Instagram handle. And I thought I would begin the talk by sharing some of my ceramic work because I am primarily a ceramics artist, but I am multidisciplinary, but ceramics will always be at the core. And it does inform my collage practice and has been informed by my collage practice as well. So these two pieces here are pretty reminiscent of my ceramics practice, specifically my vessel work. They are bodily, but also ambiguous at the same time. They look earthen, but also fleshy. They're soft, but also, made out of a material that becomes hard once fired. And my process is very exploratory. It used to be a bit more narrative and recognizable. But when I attended grad school, I abandoned, overt representation and not abandoned, but, opened up my practice to include more abstraction. So these are some of my ceramic vessels. And with every slide, I put the title as well as the dimensions on the right for accessibility. And the titles, I think inform the work as well. This is reminiscent of some of my ceramic work that is displayed on the wall, very much like a painting. But they are these objects that tend to oscillate between being floral, bodily, botanical at the same time. Again, my process is very intuitive. I start with these kind of larger gestures and then refine and modify as I continue working through the piece. And as Barbara mentioned in my introduction, which was so lovely, thank you, by the way, I am looking at those shared corporeal physicalities that, like physical similarities we share with animals and natural objects like flowers and fungus and trees. And I want my sculptures and my works on paper to be purposefully ambiguous in that way, where it's unclear if we're looking at a flower, an organ, a body, or all of the above. There are some other pieces of ceramic. The one on the left feels very much like a collage in that it is created with two different types of clay that I attach together. So you can see some areas are made of a darker stoneware and other areas are made with a lighter porcelain. And there is a similar scale among a lot of these works. Again, trying to harness that transformative potential that we have as humans, but that we also share with the organic world that we are connected to and share, those mutual vulnerabilities too. And here are some others. And these evolved out of so I started to move away from representational figuration and started to look more at the outside world in terms of nature. I'm very interested in how when our spirit or our essence leaves our physical body, we become objects as well. If you are in the forest or on a walk and you see these things like seed pods or shells that once held a body or have the potential to then sprout into something new, I'm interested in that transformative potential. And this is one of the first ceramic pieces that I made where I really felt a clear departure from representational figuration. And these pieces, you can see they look like petals, they look like a tulip. And this piece was actually very much collaged in the sense that it was bisque fired in several different pieces. And for those of you unfamiliar with ceramics, you can use glaze very much like a glue as long as you have gravity and balance working for you in the kiln. So I kind of stuffed these petals into this piece here and glazed it all together, and it came out as something, very different than when it went in. And it does feel like a kind of a first departure from figuration. And even though there's that narrative departure is still there, I am still, finding things in nature that have echoes to the human form, like this pitcher plant here. It feels like an ear or a bone or lips, or genitalia. I also enjoy this picture here. I take a lot of photos on my work and gather inspiration when I am outside. And I saw this little bug exploring this piece, and it feels, I know this might sound silly, but I want viewers to interact with my work, like this bug is. So getting closer and examining those details and being rewarded, after that sustained curiosity and attention and intention spent with the work. I'm also, very much interested in looking, like the scale shift that happens when we look at things that are small or microscopic, and when that scale is increased. And this photographer was doing similar work. I want to say these are from the 30s, but I'm unsure about that, so don't quote me. But here we see, these flowers becoming architectural abstracted formations. And I actually started working in collage to get a break from my ceramics practice. Oh, I'll talk about that in a second too. I'll go back to those slides. So I actually started to work in collage to get a little bit of a break from ceramics. Ceramics is very time intensive, and things can crack and become misshapen if they're neglected. And I think part of the reason I love ceramics is because of that time and attention that is required on behalf of the artist. But I wanted to start creating things that, wouldn't fall apart if I didn't come back to them the next day. And so I picked up a small notebook and started to create small collages on paper. I don't know if you can see me holding this little notebook up of those collages, but I can share that at some point. But here is one of the earlier works on paper, a collage that is very reminiscent to the ceramic work that was also approached with a collage mindset. And with these pieces, I do have the dimensions here. Something else that was nice about departing or adding to my ceramics practice was the fact that I could explore color more readily, and I could also explore scale more readily, which were two things that, with ceramics, they shrink every time they fired if you're going to those higher temperatures. And color has always been a difficult thing for me to develop in my ceramic work. I really like natural surfaces and a lot of browns. So the collage was a way for me to reintroduce color into my practice and also imagery. And here are some zoomed in examples of this collage. So, looking at these pieces as if we're that little bug inside of that plant. But I see these works as having multiple levels of engagement. So we have the whole piece here where the shape of that form is reminiscent of something like a flower, an organ, or a nest. And then as we get into the work, we see all kinds of textures and colors that really meld into one another. I like to blur those boundaries between where one texture starts and another texture, ends. And these are all hand cut on paper. So they are, the reference images are coming from materials like National Geographic or glossy calendars from the ASPCA that have that really kind of rich image quality and satiny surface to them. And I like to, when I look at this work, I know exactly where all of these reference images came from, but I like to make them purposefully unclear or ambiguous in the work where it feels like something familiar. And once you have your footing, just as soon you kind of lose that footing as you continue to explore the piece. And it was actually fun to zoom in on this work and crop it together for this presentation. And I'm seeing here, like some of these lines are even matching up So thank you for this opportunity because my wheel started turning again of how I could further complicate these images perhaps digitally. So here we see an octopus, the breast of a turkey, a little baby bat nursing on the mother bat, the eye and beginning of the beak of an octopus, chocolate, caviar. So really nothing is off limits for me. I'm looking at these rich visceral textures. And here's another example of just, there's physical similarities between the ceramic work, but also conceptual similarities as well. And not every collage has a ceramic counterpoint or, like a twin that's made in ceramics, but quite a few of them do. So I thought it would be interesting to just show them side by side, which is how I display them in my exhibitions. We'll get into those juicy details again. We have the texture of the stone mimicking the skin of the elephant and the rhino. We have some little roasted potatoes in here, as well as a woman wearing a hijab. And I like to make the imagery, again, it's recognizable but unrecognizable at the same time. I like when things become specific, but then also they are unrecognizable. And I do that by removing, specific characteristics like the face here, or I'll flip that imagery upside down and it becomes something new and not unseen, but unfamiliar in a way. But if you look closely, you can start to understand what that imagery is and what it's referencing. And it's always going back to the body, whether it's human, animal, or botanical. Here's another one. This one was made, as kind of a direct twin. I actually made the collage first. I found some of these devil nuts or bat nuts, they're called in upstate New York. And, they have become a recurring theme in some of my work. And here we see, how I address the profile of those little kind of nuts here on paper and then here in ceramic. There's a detail of those. And this ceramic piece feels very kindred to the collages in terms of the approach of attaching small sculptures on top of a larger form. And this is my most recent collage piece. I am trying to become more complex with the paper work and how much of that imagery is taking up the space of the ground paper. Something I'm interested in is perhaps getting away from the stark white background, but I do love how when the imagery is on that stark white background, the imagery itself feels sculptural, at least to me. And again, it is very reminiscent of those botanical and anatomical illustrations that I'm interested in. Here are some details. I said we moved here with our cat. We had to say goodbye to our cat last winter, actually, and I was making this as he was passing. And so this one is full of these little yellow cat eyes that, they're kind of hidden in this chunk where there are frog eggs here, but that's a motif throughout this piece, which I also reference here in the title. And in terms of my process, it is pretty, well, I wouldn't say it's straightforward. It's actually pretty drawn out. One thing I do want to do is work a little bit more quickly through these pieces. I started this branch of my work because I wanted to, work a little bit more quickly, but they are time consuming, but I do think of my practice in general and teaching and the way I move throughout life as cultivation, something that we continuously revisit and pour into and nurture. I use Elmer's glue on watercolor paper. I was using nori paste for a little bit, but ran into some issues with some buckling actually on this last piece that I showed you here. So I'm open for to hear from you all about what you recommend for adhesives, but the Elmer's has been pretty good for me. It stays pretty flat. I can water it down. It's archival. And I lay these pieces out on the paper that I'm working on or a paper that is next to the piece that will become the collage itself. I take a lot of photos as I work. I continuously play with the orientation of these shapes. And I start out by gathering a lot of papers that are in a similar color scheme. And generally, if I can make one collage from one National Geographic, for example. So I have like a consistent color palette throughout. And I use these very tiny scissors to cut these shapes. I don't use the X-Acto blades. I find it, for me at least, it tears the paper in a way that I'm not fond of. But yes, I take images, I arrange the compositions, I hold them down with these little stones, and then I'll take photos of potential compositional arrangements and then revisit them on my phone either later or when I'm not in the room. And you can see, yeah, I work with I choose a specific palette for each collage and yeah, find variations within those potential arrangements. So you can see here on the left, this was one of the first arrangements I had with these pieces, and then it evolved into something a little bit more spread out. But you can still see the same elements here. And I love how different it looks just depending on how that composition is arranged. And sometimes you'll see imagery popping up within, from piece to piece. So I got these really funny turkey hunting magazines from the thrift store, but they just had the most beautiful textures in them. So I have this is a turkey's face, which you might not be able to tell because it has that soft focus. And then this is directly from that other magazine here on the bottom, something that's a little bit more higher resolution. I think this is a dog here, a gator. They feel almost like bouquets in the way that they are arranged and compiled as well. And I don't know if people would notice this, but I just wanted to share a little bit about my process and how the same imagery can pop up again and again among the work. Another example of that here. We have some dragonfly wings here. I think there's a body here. Yeah, and again, with that kind of similar color palette showing up, I'll work on multiple pieces at a time as well. And so some pieces will mature and grow together. And it feels, like they are kindred in that way because they were created at the same time. And I think you could see with some of the titles, the Orchis series. So thinking about things like orchids, air plants that, they don't rely on soil in order to grow, but they grow on other living trees and other species. And that brings me back to that kind of interconnectedness and how I see, a metaphor there with, we're not all in this alone. We actually are very dependent on one another, and it's in everybody's best interest to collaborate and care about those that are most vulnerable. And this is one of my newest pieces. I'm almost done with my presentation, but with this piece, I started to look more closely at the negative space of the paper behind the subject matter. And I think that the shapes that are created here in the white is as interesting as some of the subject matter. Of course, the more recognizable subject matter is the emphasis of the piece, but I am starting to consider that negative space as intentionally as the positive space where the imagery occurs. And I'll do a few things among work as well, where, eyes will be kind of peppered in throughout these compositions. And I generally title my works based on the imagery that is present. So here, this was sad. It was like an oil spill pelican, but here's this little howler monkey or baboon. I'm not sure if it's a howler monkey actually. And again, we have some textures here. This was a lamb being slaughtered next to, some other textures here that are quite ambiguous. Next to, advertisement for a golden ring, a diamond ring. There's that full photo again. And I wanted to just share this photo to show the evolution of the work. So this was one of the earliest kind of sprawly pieces. And now I am bringing in more detailed, finer cut pieces and layering those cut papers on top of one another. And this is typical of one of my exhibitions. So having the ceramic sculptures with the collage work very much near one another because they are informed by one another and inspire one another. And that is my presentation. So thank you all so much. I am happy to take questions and we can revisit some of the pieces if you would like.
That was fantastic. I just want to say that your color palettes are delicious. Beautiful.
Very juicy. Yes, very juicy.
Yes, they're wonderful.
Thanks. So should I look in the chat? Would that be
Oh yes. Do we have any questions in the here? Were there any questions from anyone?
In the chat, there were some comments about how stunning and gorgeous and actually, is it possible to clear the screen, Michelle?
yes.
Stop sharing because then we can,
There you are.
we can kind of see everybody.
Oh, look how pretty.
Right. And I think the best way might be is just to have people raise their hands and ask questions and talk about how beautiful the work is, because basically that's come across very strongly, but I think people would really like to share.
Valerie Clark has her hand up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. I love the work. It's really gorgeous. And one thing I wanted to mention was that sort of combination of masculine and feminine in those collage pieces. Sometimes it's that elephant skin and a lot of grays and browns, but then the way you place everything is sort of like filigree. It's so feminine, the swooping leaves that you've created and other things like that, and also the feminine colors. Sometimes when you move into pinks and purples and stuff like that. So it really makes it sort of really exciting and interesting to look at.
Thank you so much. And I think those are some of the binaries or polarities that I do want to kind of question in the work. So having that spectrum of, it's neither this nor that,
Yeah.
it's this,
Yeah.
that. So I'm glad you picked up on that. And I think the kind of filigree quality, I'm seeing that stuff in decorative arts, but also, if we look at the way that our veins and capillaries move throughout our body, they do that same kind of branching as well.
And plants in nature, like we talked about. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think there's not as many questions as normal because you are so thorough in explaining and showing us what your thoughts and how your process goes, that you covered a lot of questions that might have been asked.
Right.
Is there anyone else?
I have a question for you, Michelle. You use Elmer's glue and it looks so beautifully pasted on. When I do my work, it gets a lot more sloppy than that. What is your technique in getting that beautifully finished look?
Thank you. Yeah, I can be a little obsessive about things, and I think Is Jay still in here? He knows as my as one of my students. So I water down the glue and I use a flat paintbrush to paint the glue on the back of the pieces. And then I smooth it over the collage. So they are coming together piece by piece. It's a slow burn. But the watered down glue allows me to spread that out over a larger surface. And then I'll use something like a rubber rib to kind of smooth out those bubbles. And then at the end, I will go back in with a little tiny paintbrush, like if I get, oil from my hand or fuzz or whatever, I will then go in and kind of clean up those edges. So, yeah,
Well,
they're very analog, but they do appear very crisp and clean and digital. But I kind of like that play as well.
well, it's beautiful. I also love the way you cut your shapes,
You.
the individual
Yes.
pieces and how well they work together, but with such a meticulous style. And yet it's very free. It's very organic and very free, even though, I mean, it's painstaking, I can tell, right?
There's
Absolutely.
something healing in that tedium though. And yeah, so I'm responding to the imagery itself in the paper. So sometimes like there will be a piece of fur that aligns beautifully with the background of the piece. So I'll connect that into a shape to make it unrecognizable again. But so it is a very reciprocal process of that kind of call and response, those big movements with those kind of more detailed delicate movements that come in later.
I have a question. I have a
Sorry.
question. Uh, what kind of a finish do you put on these after you're done?
That's what I was going to ask.
Thanks. And I'm as curious about that as I have good people here that could point me in the right direction. I use a clear matte UV protected spray, and I do just a few coats of that, maybe like 3. And that kind of dulls the gloss back a little bit, but ideally I hope that is going to keep the imagery from potentially fading as well. And then a lot of them are float framed in a UV protected glass.
Do you mount the pieces after you've done the work, or have you mounted the watercolor paper, for example, to a board before you work on it? How do you do that?
I haven't tried that, but my framer recommended doing that the last time. The last time I took some stuff to get framed, and I don't know if it's just the humidity in Georgia or if it's something with the glue aging, but I was having the pieces curl up off of the float, which was not ideal. So I have them, I'm starting to press them flat now to potentially help with that. But no, I haven't mounted them to anything. It would be the framer mounting it to a float and then putting it on a white framed background.
Hmm,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yes.
These might also be more stable if you tried something like an illustration board or something like that that would sort of get it started. But they're pretty amazing. They remind me of a lot of the fabrics work and lace work that I have played with, and embroidery and pulling apart lace and things like that. Really, really delicate, interesting.
Thank you. And yeah, going to school for art, we were I'm grateful for my art education, but we unfortunately were taught that there was a distinction between art and craft, decoration and fine art. So I'm unlearning a lot of that stuff in my own practice, but I do have a vested interest in craft as well as decorative arts as well. Yeah. Women's work.
And I like the way you've had them framed, Michelle. I think it really
Thank
sets
you.
them off nicely.
Thank you so much.
I just want to say real quick about your issue with the paper curling up. Something that an artist, Bob Burridge, recommended when he does a lot of cut and paste collage and paint and combines them with paint is to prepare your paper by putting a layer of gesso on the back.
Mm,
Art keeps it from curling up.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's not ideal when they start to do that.
No.
Yeah.
Uh, Others? You have, anybody?
I can read a couple of things from the chat. Nancy Lawrence said your work is masterful, both the collages and the ceramics, so rich. Looks like and I lost a little bit of it there. Then there was a comment, Quay Lin saying, gorgeous work. I'm fascinated by the combination of bodily sensibilities and the plant and animal worlds. I'm curious about how you came upon this fusion.
Yeah, this goes back to grad school, I would say. So I was, very much invested. So both of my parents were the caretakers of their parents as they passed. So I was able to examine some pretty intimate moments with the human body, specifically upon its failure. And at that time, I was also working with children, like little babies. And so I was seeing some echoes between what I was doing in my caregiving role with what my parents were doing in their caregiving roles. And so, yeah, experiencing when the body becomes an object, that's abjection. And I was seeing that abjection not in a repulsive way, but in a beautiful way in the natural world as well. And I think moving to Atlanta is, the desert is incredibly gorgeous in its own way, and I miss it daily. But it was very illuminating to come down here and be exposed to all of the foliage in this climate. Specifically, I'm thinking of like crepe myrtle trees and how fleshy those trunks and branches are, and just, seeing ourselves, our bodies kind of echoed in these natural environments, was meaningful for me. I find a lot of beauty in that, and it goes back to that idea of us all being interconnected as well. Yeah, I hope that answered the question. Yeah.
Okay, there's also a comment by Elizabeth Evans saying, really interesting to see the juxtaposition of the ceramics with the paper collage work. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you.
And also Carol Worthington Levy said these pieces feel very connected to embroidery and fabric threads, etc.
Yeah, and I was more textiles while in grad school. I was doing some Nuno felting, which is a wet felting process, and haven't had the opportunity to do that without a cement floor. My studio is in my home right now. We have wooden floors. So yeah, I wanted to have a kind of a parallel practice beyond ceramics that wasn't necessarily textiles. And then, yeah, getting into the collage, I was able to see a lot of those textural textures and images that I was thinking about and referencing in my work, but then I was actually able to use it in as subject matter once I got into it. So yeah, textiles is near and dear to me as well. I've started quilting a little bit in the past few years, and I love that as well. And it feels kind of kindred how these grow piece by piece, similar to quilts.
Okay, then Jennifer Lee Morrow asked, are you on Instagram as an organization, question mark? I'm not sure what the
Oh,
So
I wonder.
it was when you were talking about the Facebook page for the organization, and I wondered if you were on Instagram as well. I think I already follow you, Michelle.
Oh, okay. You're talking about Collage Artists of
Yeah.
America. No, we're not on Instagram at this point.
Do we have a volunteer who wants to?
Right.
We do have one. We just have to recruit her and
Okay.
and get her to do it. Okay. Anybody else have questions or accolades for Michelle? Well, thank you so much,
Wonderful.
darling. I mean, it was just wonderful. And the as I said, the lack of questions means that you were so very thorough, and you really gave us such an insight to your your thoughts and your methods and you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really appreciated this opportunity. I will say, teaching full time, it's difficult to maintain an art practice on top of all of that, but this was a great reminder of, yeah, how important this work is to me, and pouring into my own work can also equal inspiring others to do the same. So I appreciate the opportunity. I don't know if Lorraine is here, but I'm very grateful for her invitation and for you all welcoming me here today.
But thank you so much again.
Shall we also introduce your father?
Dad.
Yeah. He's here as Maria Pilar Garcia,
Yes.
and he's
Oh,
connecting with his wife from Spain.
oh, how lovely. Hi. Oh, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle.
All righty. Speaking of teaching, I gotta go take some students to an art fair. So I'm gonna head out of here.
Bye-bye. Thank you so
Bye,
much,
thank
honey.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And bye, Maria. Dad. Okay, here we are back to our group. And this is a time that we can ask, let's see, where are we?
Wait, see
Any
if our new-
members, if any of the new members, if there are new members here that would like to speak and haven't done so earlier, please raise your hand. Let us know you're here. Okay, Carol Worthington Levy and Tom Yates. We'll take. I didn't see who came first. Jennifer, why don't you go first, and then we'll hear from Tom.
Great. I'm Jennifer Lee Morrow. I live in Southern Maine, and I work mostly in mixed media with textile techniques, but most of the media I work with is paper. I also use wood and metal. I do wall pieces, and they're kind of very intuitive and lots of combined textures and materials and lots of layering. And I will drop my website in the chat, and that's probably the best way to learn about my work. And I am a studio artist. I'm also a contract bookkeeper, and I live in a converted shoe factory, which is why you see the beams behind me. I have this like lovely studio space here, which it's a fairly new space for me, and I'm very excited about it. And I guess the other thing, I'm very involved in the in SDA, which is Surface Design Association, which is more of a textile-based organization, but some people here might be interested in checking it out as well. It has some similarities and some differences. So thank you so much for
thank you for joining and joining us here today, Jennifer, and thank you for telling us about yourself.
Oh, and I have a couple of pieces in the show in California, which obviously I won't see, but I hope some of you do.
Oh, at the show at White's? Oh, yes, of course. Now I see your name. Well, good. You'll be able to see on the website, on our website. Now, Tom, let's hear about you.
Hi, I'm Tom Yates from Iowa City, Iowa. I too like mixed media, and these days I like the combinations of collage and drawing. I hope to get back to doing a little more collage. I'm trying to finish a co-authored book on a manual on how to draw cartoon characters in the style of the 1950s. There's some good historical information, but there's my co-writer and I have not found a manual about how to do it, so we're working on that. And I can't say that I will do another co-authored book. Even though the co-author is in town, he and I have totally different schedules. And but anyway, as soon as it gets done, I hope to get back to a little more personal art. So,
Tom, when you get it done and published, will you post it so that we can go in and look at it and buy
Oh,
it?
sure. Sure, absolutely. It will
Yeah,
not be
good.
a big manual, but it was a fascinating time of cartoons for those of us who are actually old enough
Yeah.
to remember when cartoons were different. There is a
Yeah.
good history which you can find on the website Animation Obsession. It's called Cartoon Modern, and it's a terrific, very visual history of that time in the late 40s through the early 60s. But there's no manual yet, but I hope to have it out soon. But yes, I will. I'll let you know when it gets done.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom, and thanks for joining us. And we look
Sure.
forward to seeing you many times.
Thank you.
And as anyone else, I
Oh,
see
yeah,
some
we
names.
have a lot.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Um,
How about Valerie Clark?
Hi there. I'm currently living, oopsie. I'm currently living in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and I've been focusing mainly on collage for the last 6 years. I saw your posting in Collage Magazine, and I entered 2 pieces in the show at the White Gallery, and I'm very, very pleased they got accepted. And I also have a piece published in the latest edition of Collage Magazine, and it's about this digital collage artist. Oh, let me see. I'm not getting there.
Oh, a mandala.
Yeah, called Dana Hart Stone, and he has a show in Denver right now for the next 3 months at the William Havu Gallery. So anyway, I wrote a piece about him and his work in the latest issue of Collage Magazine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you and welcome and congratulations on being in the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so thanks
And-
again. And I see Carol Worthington Levy wants to say something, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, I am so excited to be in this group because seeing the work that's been popping up in Facebook has been really stimulating, really exciting. And after I've been an artist all my life, but after a career of like 35 years and doing creative for marketing and advertising, now I'm full time a fine artist, and I'm painting and doing mixed media. And I work in series, and right now I've got a couple of long series going on that are really fun and layered. And one of the things that really gave me a boost was getting a couple of pieces into the show in Southern California. And I'm going to come down there in just a few weeks to actually see the show. But to get an honorable mention on one of those it was just the shot in the arm that I needed to feel like I actually, do something that somebody understands and somebody else understands it. Because I think we start following our own, marching to our own drummer. And a lot of people don't understand what it is that we're doing and why we're doing it. And to be with a group that really has a sensibility to appreciate that is just awesome, just great. So thank you. And I'm jealous of those of you who have bigger studios than I do. I have a nice studio, but when I saw that, Jennifer, the Jennifer thing, I went, oh my God, look at that. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Carol, and congratulations again on being in the show. It's a wonderful, you're going to enjoy it. It's quite a beautiful show and very interesting, wonderful pieces in it. So everybody check it out on the website at least. And look for the video at the end of the week of the reception. I haven't seen it. He's working on it right now. Anybody else who I would like to hear from? Okay, Greg Katz, and then I'll get to you, Deborah. Greg?
Howdy, folks. I'm just south of Denver in Parker, Colorado, so I'm very happy to hear about the Havu Gallery show, which I can go see, and that Valerie showed the Collage magazine. I've been to Collage Fest in New Orleans the last 2 years, and it's really been extraordinary. So I've been a collage artist about 7 years now. My background is visual anthropology, and I'm an interfaith minister, and the work really revolves around health and faith. And kind of doing that full time along with consulting. So I'm great to have found this group. It's always nice to find like-minded people and people that are engaged, that bring forth new ideas and inspiration as a catalyst for future work. So thanks.
Good. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us and telling us about yourself. We look forward to seeing your work.
Can
And
I say something quickly to Greg? Just Greg, the two artists, but the one I showed is going to do actually an artist talk at William Havu tomorrow at noon. I don't know if you're available or if you could make it, but I just wanted to mention that.
okay, thanks, Valerie.
Mhm.
Deborah.
Yes. I'm Deborah McCloskey. I'm in Ellicott City, Maryland. So I'm a good ways away. I will not be able to get to see the show, although I would like to. I do have a piece in the show. It was one of those things that starts as one thing and turns into 40 other things before it finally says it's done. I started with collage as a sort of a challenge from an exhibition venue. We were trying to get a pastel show there, and she said, the new curator said, basically, that she was really bored with pastel, and if we could show her something new, that she would give us a show. So we all started doing pastel mixed media, and while that was tragic in many ways because pastel doesn't really play with other media very well, I got started just having a good time, just slapping stuff onto other stuff and trying to be a little more thoughtful about what I was doing. And that was, I don't know when that was, like 2009 or something incredible. It was a long time ago. So I've been doing this for a while. And it's become things like gold leaf, other metal leaf, beads, strung beads and hanging beads and lots of paper. So I've had a lot of fun with it. My other practice is colored pencil, which is a very, very different kind of work. It's very controlled. It's very detailed. So being able to be a little freer on the other side of my studio from my drawing table is really rewarding. Like Carol, I spent 30 years in another career. I've been an artist all my life, but I worked for the federal government for 30 years before retiring and getting back to art.
Well, good.
So I found you guys because of this show announcement in online juried
great.
shows. So
Good.
I was completely unaware. So I appreciate the fact that you're out there and that like Greg said, a community of like-minded individuals and artists who understand the compulsion that we have to make art, whether it's the smartest or most financially rewarding career. It's still something that you just are obsessed with. So thank you for being there.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on being in the show. And I forgot to mention, let me just insert right here that we have another show coming up in April. So everybody keep busy, and it's a beautiful gallery, Betsy Luke in Burbank, California. And so, yeah, you have something else to look forward to. Besides we have our workshop and all our meetings with the wonderful speakers that we present. And now let me ask again if there's other people that would like to speak. Any other that wants to chime in? Now, if any of you want to say something about what's happening, if you're in a show or you want to share something about what's going on, doesn't have to be a new member, it could be any of our members. Now's the time. You're welcome to give us some of your thoughts or say something about yourself. Anybody?
Well, Barbara and I are going to be in the Beverly Hills Art Show, October 18th and 19th, as part of the Lila organization, Lantern of the East Los Angeles. they have a booth and we each will have one piece in there. I think there'll be 19 artists and we'll be there. We're personally going to be there on Saturday morning from 10 to 2. And
Well, congratulations. That's fun.
yeah, very exciting. Yeah.
Very exciting. Good.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay. In that case, I'd like to reiterate, because it wasn't recorded and I'm hoping people will stay to hear this part. I want to again thank all our board members for doing a fantastic job, and mention that our CAA group has grown in leaps and bounds, and including so many people from other states and Canada, and even one member was in Paris this time to try to be in the show. And it takes a lot of work and diligence, and I want to thank the board for all of their contributions. I'd like to invite members to consider volunteering to be on a committee or on an assistant or as an assistant for one of the board positions. We need you to continue achieving CAA's goals and indeed its continuation. We need volunteers. We need the boards. Many of our board members have been here for many years doing their job. And also we have some newer people who are doing wonderfully, but they might need help or an assist on some of the things they're doing. We do have one new member, Elsie Fiore. She's not here today, but she joined us at the board meeting, and she might be the person to do IG, for example, or help one of the other board members and so forth. So please consider and pass the word. Try to get people to join us and help run this organization, which I feel offers so many rewards to so many people. Thank you all. And I'm going to just pause now to see if there are any more announcements or anything else anybody would like to say. Okay, well, again, we thank our presenter. She was fabulous. I think we all agreed. And I will bring the meeting to a close.
Okay, I'll stop recording now, and